Two important criteria are used in evaluating any research design: internal validity and external validity. The internal validity of a research design concerns the degree to which it meets its dual purpose within the confines of the study. That is, did the study answer the research questions and provide credible evidence? For quantitative design that we discussed first, internal validity addresses whether variance was controlled for appropriately to provide an uncontaminated picture of the relationship between the independent and dependent variable. The external validity of a research design concerns the degree to which generalizations can be made or transferred outside the confines of the study. Is the prevalence of autistic spectrum disorder, if done in New York City? Can that study be generalized to New Jersey? No. In an experiment lacking internal validity, we do not know whether the experimental treatment or uncontrolled factors produced the differences between or within groups. Both the researcher and the critical reader needs to be certain that the changes in the dependent variable is in fact caused by the experimental treatment, not by factors that can mimic the effects of the treatment. A general rule: the fewer the alternative explanations, the greater the internal validity of the experiment. Threats to internal validity include the Hawthorne effect, which occurs when subject performance is altered by an awareness that they are being observed. They know that they are being observed. The Hawthorne effect was coined after an experiment at the Hawthorne Works in Chicago. The experiment found that productivity improved regardless of what changes were made. Workers would perform better when the factory was made brighter, but they would also perform better when it was made dimmer. The change itself seemed to be ensuring a short-term rise in productivity, regardless of whether the change actually had a long-term effect. So because they were being observed, they changed their behavior. They knew they were being observed. The placebo and the Hawthorne effects compare and contrast in these ways. Both are psychological effects on the participants, causing an effect when the material intervention has no effect. Both are effects produced by the participants' perceptions and reactions, but the former emphasizes their response to new equipment or methods, while the latter emphasizes their response simply to being studied. The leading suspected cause in the placebo effect is the participant's false belief in the material efficacy of the intervention. The leading suspected cause in the Hawthorne effect is the participant's response to being studied, that is, to the human attention. In both cases, the experimenter may be deceiving the participants, or may be mistakenly sincere, or neutral with respect to the effect of the technology or intervention. In general, however, the experimenter appearing to the participants to believe in the efficacy of the intervention, while not essential, may be more or more often important to the placebo effect than to the Hawthorne effect. And we have videos in our web link section to watch on this. To overcome the Hawthorne effect, communicate clearly the purpose of the study, take multiple measures, and measure outside the awareness of the participations. With the Hawthorne effect is the gains are not only short-term, so the obvious solution is to ensure that you're monitoring performance frequently to ensure that any changes have legs to stand on. This is relatively easy to do for longitudinal studies, but harder to do for cross-sectional studies. The Rosenthal effect. This is the influence the experimenter's expectations have on the part of the participants, both intentionally and unintentionally. The Rosenthal effect occurs when the outcome of the study is skewed when the subject responds based on an awareness of the experimenter's expectations. The Hawthorne effect occurs when subject performance is altered by an awareness that they are being observed. Nobody in your family was a late talker? You sure? No? Did you read to your child every day? Yes. For example, a mother will be more interactive with child during story reading when they think that that is the expectation of the experimenter, or they will try to read more.